What's up, guys? Who Needs Meta here, coming at you with another retro deck profile. Today I want to look at Ben Jaffee's Shonen Jump Tulsa Lightsworn list for September 2008 format. This was a Teledad format. This was the very beginning of that format, right at the beginning of September. This event happened in September, right after the ban list changed. And it was pre-Plague Spreader, pre-Crossroads of Chaos. Actually, the only synchro monsters we had access to were the Duelist Genesis and the structure deck. The initial structure deck comes out typically when there's new summon mechanics, similar to the Utopia structure deck. This was that for back in 08. So this was that structure deck, and then we had Duelist Genesis. We had cards like Stardust, Red Dragon Archfiend, and things like that from that set. And then in here we had Junk Warrior, but we also had Gaia Knight and Colossal Fighter. Gaia Knight obviously didn't make much impact because in Duelist Genesis we also got Goyo Guardian. So decks would opt to max out on Goyo Guardian because it was just better than Gaia Knight in pretty much every way. Adam Corden did win this event with Teledad. I believe over 10 of the top 16 spots at this event were Teledad. I was originally going to profile Johnny Wins. You guys will know him as Asian Persuasion, his list, but he actually went back and did a video on his list. So I was like, okay, I'll pick another Lightsworn list from this event. And then, to be honest with you, there weren't that many to choose from because the event was so dominated by Teledad. So we'll get right into this list. We first, of course, have our 2 Judgment Dragon, our big boss monster. Pay 1,000, blow the board. Cards absolutely insane. We play ways to recur it. If we mill it, we just need our 4 names, and then we could summon this guy. Our main Lightsworn monster, we have our 3 Luminas. Discard 1 card, special summon 1 level 4 lower from the graveyard, not a hard once per turn. Lumina Garoth turn 1 is just the nuts. That's probably the best play you can make outside of opening triple charge and, going off that way. But Lumina Garoth is an achievable turn 1 and a really solid turn 1. 2 Lyla, you play these instead of, MST was at 1, but the good thing we have Lyla. Mill 3, another name, obviously, like that. Being 1700 is kind of cool, but the fact that it had an effect where it had to change the defense so it couldn't call priority and it couldn't priority pop back, or similar to Breaker, those cards both suffered from that, but priority obviously was around during this format. 2 Celestia. This actually didn't trigger Garoth, unfortunately, because it mills for cost, but because it mills for cost, it's just better in my opinion, just because you can make sure that those 4 go off no matter what if it hits the board. So that's kind of good. 2 Ryko. It's kind of funny how we in the initial builds would play this card, but it would slowly get phased out when this deck became the best deck. When Lightsworn was, the best, Ryko became too slow for September 09 and March 09 during Synchro Cat format when Lightsworn rivaled Synchro Cat. 2 Garoth. This is like a small warrior engine because we do play Rhoda. So we have our 2 Garoths, our 1 Ehren, and our 1 Jain. Ehren would stop seeing play later on, but it was actually really good during this format because there were a lot of things that we would want to send back to the deck. Things like if you did play against a rogue zombie like Pyramid Turtle and things of that nature, Goblin Zombie, things like that. And then, of course, the Sangan and the Necro Gardnas and the Teledad lists were really good to just put back in the deck. And then the last Lightsworn monster, 3 Wulf. I'm not personally a big fan of 3 Wulf. I like 2. This list is 43 cards, so it is a big list. So if you want to try this one out, you could cut one of these and play something else if you wanted to stay at 43. Or if you just wanted to go down to 42, you're more than welcome to just cut a Wulf. For non-Lightsworn monsters, we have 3 Honest. Honest was not hit at the ban list at all. The only card on the list was the 2 of Judgment Dragon. Everything else was completely unlimited at the time. Honest, first Honest wins. Make sure you win every battle phase. Keep your Luminas alive to protect them for plays next turn, especially if you have a big Celestia play. Another way we can do that is our 3 Necro Gardna to negate an attack. Necro Gardna is really crucial in this format. It is really important to be able to protect those monsters, save your life points from big attacks. Especially if you have to set it. And then the 1 of Sangan, these are our 4 crush card targets. So we do play crush card. That card is nuts. And this is it for the monster lineup. We will move on to the spell lineup. The, again, aforementioned completely unlimited charge of the Light Brigade. So we have our 3 charges, mill 3 for cost, and then go search. It is kind of cool that this is again, mill for cost, because if this is your only card and your opponent is going to Solemn Judgment you if it's your only card, but the fact that you can, maybe dissuade them by getting a Wulf or something like that, could extend games when applicable. And then the 1 of Rhoda, again, with our 4 warriors, we have the ability to, go get one of those. It's just another way to make sure that we search. A lot of people will call this deck Brixworn because of the ability to just draw completely dead hands, and we want to circumvent that as much as possible. So we're going to play as much searching as we can. 3 solar recharges here. Discard, draw 2, mill 2. It's kind of funny. Whenever I activate a card like D-Draw, I almost instinctively want to start milling because I play this so much. But yeah, 3 solar recharge card is really good. It's a staple in Lightsworn. It's been a staple 3 of in pretty much everything except for very low Lightsworn count decks like Chaos Dragons that would only play typically like maybe 5 or 6 Lightsworn monsters who might play 2. And even some of those decks played 3 up in 2012. 1 Monster Reincarnation. We want to make sure that we're able to go get our Judgment Dragon if we mill it, especially on that turn. Beckoning Light is a turn slower, of course, because we have to set it. But that card is also just a better off late game. So Reincarnation, really good there. And then Monster Reborn and Heavy Storm. No MST in the main board, even though it is at 1. We decided not to play MST in the main board. And we'll move on to the traps here. First up, we have 2 Beckoning Lights. We can use this to get Honest and then like Judgment Dragon and just end games that way. This card can end games late game where if you can just fish out for 2 Judgment Dragons, summon 1, blow the board, even if they have the Judgment or something like that. For the first one, the second one, we can just plop that one down. Just steal games when we don't deserve to win with this card. This is definitely a game changer here. One Crush card. Again, just an absolute power card, and we have 4 targets, which is nice. A lot of the earlier Teledad decks maybe have like 3 or 4. They would have to play things like DD Crow in the main board in order to maybe resolve this a little bit more frequently and make this card not as dead, which wasn't really bad because DD Crow was really good in the mirror to hit Mally and things like that, and would also hit names here, and you could chain it to Wulf and things like that. So Crush, DD Crow, not the worst card, but Crush card, a little bit more live in this deck because of the 3 of Necro Gardna and the Sangan. 2 Wing Blasts. I really like this card, being able to set your opponent back a turn, especially if they're like going for a synchro play, like if they go to like try and summon a Krebins, or if they banish Mally to summon a Mally from their deck and you make them top deck that Mally, if they don't have that D-draw for next turn, essentially they've removed the Mally from their graveyard and they don't have the Mally on the field, and if they teleported, that Krebins is going away. So that's a really big like mid interruption for that deck. So that's a really, this card is just really good. And then if they like set a card and you can just end phase Wing Blast, and then they have to reset that card next turn, it is really good. And then we have things like Dead Wolf. I mean, there's 3 Wolves and there's 3 Necro Gardnas. You're not going to play games where you draw perfect every time. You're going to draw bricks in this deck. It is Brixworn. So this is a way to, turn those into pluses, especially if we need like just a 4th name in our graveyard and we just want to hit a back row, put that 4th name in, and drop our Judgment Dragon. We have 2 Wing Blasts to do that. And then we have 3 Solemn Judgment. The Omni Negate card is really good. A lot of just the threat of having Solemn Judgment and knowing that, that card could be Solemn Judgment is enough for this card. Like a lot of times people would just be playing around it to the point where it never gets flipped. It's really weird. You'll see that especially in like some of the early Teledad mirrors, things like that. This card is really good, and I really enjoy playing formats with 3 Solemn Judgment. Early game, it is pretty interesting, but we do want to make sure our Judgment Dragon resolves. We want it to hit the board, and this is a surefire way to ensure, unless they Judgment your Judgment, it's going to hit the board, or if they're playing something weird like 7 tools, but people typically don't play 7 tools. Now we'll move on to the side deck. I think he only played like 2 cards in his extra deck. The only way you're able to actually go into your extra deck, because we don't have Plague Spreader, is the Monster Reborn. So the extra deck not really going into. You could just put 1 of every viable synchro monster from that was out at the time and just cram that in there, plus like a sandwich in order to, if you take a Prismo and you're playing against Prismaglass and you want to dump Sangan for some reason. Though Teledad would do that just because they would want to manipulate their dark count. So if they like reborn to Prisma and they had 2 darks and a dad, they would just, put sandwich in their extra deck, reveal the Sangan, and then dump that and then be able to do that this way. So on the side, we have the 3rd Celestia and 1 Ryko. So the 3rd of Ryko. These are just, in this deck for siding, you don't want to side too many cards. And these are cards that you can side that are good in particular matchups. Ryko really good against like Gladiator Beasts and things like that. But these are cards that you can side where if you mill them, you don't mind because they are another name. Yeah, it's the 3 of the name, so you're more likely, to see that name come again as a duplicate. But it is another name, and it is a Lightsworn monster. 1 Phantom of Chaos, because we can use it with Judgment Dragon to be Judgment Dragon. And then 1 Breaker. It's actually funny that he played Breaker over a 3rd Lyla because you need this to pop Light Mirror. Teledad would essentially side 3 Light Mirror, you side 3 Shadow Mirror, and that's just kind of how this matchup goes in game 2 and 3. 1 MST, again, to hit the floodgates. 2 Book of Moon, just good, generic removal. And then if we can, reuse it with our 3rd Ryko if we decide to play that. Again, the 3 Shadow Mirrors. This is important for the Teledad matchup. The only unfortunate thing is because we mill, we're more likely to mill this card, so they're more likely to see Light Mirror. We're even playing more cards than they are. It's just, unfortunately, game 2 and 3 just really aren't in this deck's favor. So we try and make it that way. 1 Wing Blast, just the 3rd Wing Blast. 2 Bottomless. And then it's really cool that he decided to play 2 Royal Decree. I really like Royal Decree, obviously, in this deck because we don't play that many traps. So it's just 8. So you would really side everything out for your trap lineup, except probably the Beckonings. That's what I would keep in if I were playing this deck. I would just keep the Beckonings in and just do 2 Decree, 2 Beckoning because you are going to mill a trap. But you can put those monsters in whenever you side the Decrees in. So if you need to side out your traps, you can put in your Ryko, your Celestia, your Phantom of Chaos, and your Breaker. And then you can take out the traps and play these things and play the Decrees. So that's it for the deck profile. There'll be some duels in the description. Be sure to like and subscribe for more retro format content. And thanks for watching, guys.